my privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the webinar organizer, KLM, Kerala Labour Movement, and KCBC Labour Commission. Today we have our webinar will be inaugurated by His Excellency, the Chairman Bishop Alex Vadakkathila. He is the Chairman to CBCI Labour Office, and he is the Chairman to KCBC Labour Commission in Kerala, and he is the Bishop of Kannur. He is always with us and encourages to the timely needed classes that all somehow help our co-workers and collaborators. On behalf of everybody gathered in this platform, I extend a cordial welcome to our Bishop Alex Vadakkathila. Today we have Mr. Rajan M, who is going to give an introduction on PMP, People's Management Policy. That's an initiative of KCBC Labour Commission. Mr. Rajan, 30 years professional experience in human resource management with leading organizations like Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, BPCL, Petronet CCP Limited, and presently is the Deputy General Manager HR Retail Business, Bharat Petroleum Corporation. He is always with KLM for last 15 years. He is the master behind this PMP draft, that is People's Management Policy. Today he will be briefing about what is People Management Policy that is to be done, that is to be actively done in our society, our institutions, and our work areas. So a hearty welcome to Mr. Rajan. And today we are all gathered here to hear Mr. Jocelyn Martins CA. He's the keynote. He is giving us keynote address on FCRA amendment that had happened in 2020, September 2029. Mr. Jocelyn Martins is a fellow member of both the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. His professional expertise spans over 30 years. Mr. Martins heads the audit firm J.A. Martins and Company that specializes in rendering services to developmental agencies, educational institutions, charitable institutions, other non-governmental institutions and companies. The specialization is in matter relating to audit and assurance compliances under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act and Income Tax Act. He has appeared before the Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Home Affairs with regards to the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act and its rules, and has been successful in broadening the meaning of program expenditure within the definition of administrative expense. He is one of the governing body of various. He is on the governing body of various charitable institutions. So we are very happy to have you in this evening on this platform. That we are very much eager to hear you on FCRA amendment and FCRA Act. A very heartfelt and warm welcome to you, Mr. Jocelyn Martins. Today's sessions will be moderated by Father Jason, who is very known to us. He was the director to KCBC Labour Commission, and he was the secretary to the Labour Office in PCI. Now he is the secretary to CCBI International Catholic Migration Commission. Jason, a hearty welcome to you all. And we have our collaborators, our Reverend Fathers, heads of dioceses, And we have sisters or our sisters of various institutions and communities, and also we have fathers from various different dioceses of social service department. In one word, I welcome all you to this meeting. Have a nice time. Thank you all.
May I request?
I'm not wonderstruck to see that there were 300 participants for this webinar. The last Sunday's gospel from Matthew chapter 21, 22, 21, which said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. And at the same time, the Lord also says, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve God and money. But we know without money, we cannot function in this world. We cannot do anything what we need. Even God's work to be fulfilled, we need money. At the same time, we need to administer finance properly. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble. And when auditors call us, we respond immediately, because we know that financial administration is an important area of our work, ministry, and well-being. You know the definition of a accountant or an auditor? Someone who solves a problem which you did not know at all that you had that problem, and he solves in a way which you don't understand. So, but then with regard to the issue of FCRA, we need to, particularly new amendments that have come recently, we need to understand, and the auditors will help us to understand, and so that we never get into any problem. There's a famous book by Kim Woo-chung. The title of the book is Every Street is Paved with Gold. Every street is paved with gold. In that book, in chapter 3, he says, I was a poor person when I was in the schools. And but I was not the only one who was poor in the school. And I did not have a single coin in my pocket. But I had dreams. So finally, this Kim Chung-woong became a multi-millionaire. He was just after school. In fact, he did not complete even his 10th class. Then he joined an automobile workshop, and then gradually he became owner of that workshop, and he became the owner of a chain of workshops. And finally, he headed the Daewoo Motors, which produced these CLO cars and so on. Sometime back in India, in Indian roads, we used to see the new CLO, the green CLO cars and so on. He became the owner of these Daewoo Motors. Later, he had some financial problems and finally landed in the jail and so on. But this book is interesting, and it is often referred to the management students, in which he says, I had dreams. So even as church personnel, we have dreams, and we need to have some guidance, especially finance planning, so that we may be able to bring that dream for the betterment of the society. The church has to receive some help from other partners abroad and so on, so that money, when it flows to our account, we have to strictly adhere to the rules and regulations, restrictions of the government. And sometimes it can be cumbersome, but then there are auditors who help us. With this new foreign contribution regulation, Amendment Act of 2020. Probably you must have already attended some webinars and so on. So some of you are familiar, but others may have to delve into the new aspects of these regulations. What are the key changes? I know our friend Jocelyn Martins would expatiate much more on this. As you know, we have to start a new account. That's what it is mentioned there in the Delhi Sansad Marg, the branch of State Bank of India. And so all the accounts will come to this new bank, which is a major change in the new Amendment Act, which was recently passed and which came into effect from the 29th of September 2020. But then we have some more time, some breathing space till March 31st. But then Jocelyn Martin will give us more regarding that. And also the need to renew it, and with regard to the administrative expenditure, which is reduced to 20% and so on. There are so many things which you need to pay attention to. And today, incidentally, there is also this, our resource person, Mr. Rajan, who will be telling us about the human resource plan within the church. Because sometimes if you don't comply with the labor rules within our organization, we may run into difficulties. We are doing it with sincerity, but then if you don't comply with these rules and regulations, we may be it may be difficult for us to even come out from those regulations. That's why I think this webinar is very important for us. Both these talks, the talk by Mr. Rajan and also by our Jocelyn Martin, both are important for us. We need to know many things connected with our work, administration of finance, and so on. I'm happy that 300 of you found time to join in this, and I wish everything best, and may this session be fruitful for us and even in our future. When in doubt, let's clarify, because ignorance of law will not be any excuse for us. Therefore, let's attentively participate in this webinar. There are also many your auditors may, if you ask them, they may send you more details on what are the new things and so on, the FCRA frequent questions that are asked with regard to this new the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Act, and the road ahead once this after this enactment and so on. Your auditors would help you. So be in touch with your auditor. In case you are not satisfied with that, then consult others, so that we follow strictly the procedures that are laid down by the Government of India. I hope this webinar will help you further to study these new amendment, and I appreciate and thank all those who have together all these things, especially Joseph Jude, who is giving us the technical assistance, Father Jason, who is the moderator, Father Prasad, the new secretary of the KCBC Labor Commission. And I declare this webinar inaugurated. Let's look forward to a fruitful session, and all the best. May God bless you. Thank you.
And dear ones, it is going to be a big task for me, because I found almost 376 participants right now attending this webinar today, because of the importance of, as Bishop Alex has already mentioned, this has become so important for us, because we are a citizen complying, conforming to the law of the country, more complied with the legal requirements, legal compliances than anybody else. We are trying to see that how we can just try to accommodate the new amendments that is going to be in place. We know many laws are coming in our country, because as of now we understand ease of doing business, labor law is amended, and we have 4 new labor codes. And all our labor laws changes means we have the gratuity law is changing, we have the provident fund law is changing, ESI is changing, and our wages is changing, our industrial relations are changing, our trade union act is going to be changed, and many things are, many laws are changing, the society going to be new. FCRA amendment has begun not by this government, it has started much before 2010, 2012, 2015, then to 2018, 19, and 2020 right now, because we have to reflect why these changes are coming. Because we have three main sectors in our country. Of course, the government, and they are the big sector. We have market, and the rest is civil society. And civil society, many numbers, many people are playing the space in this civil society, including small clubs and big organizations like multinational organization, Greenpeace, Amnesty International, UNDP, many other international organizations also play their role in the civil society. Therefore, in this scenario, we have to see how we can locate ourselves. Laws are changing. Not only FCRA, many other laws are changes are coming in our place. Therefore, how we accommodate? The first thing is, one of the main weakness of many of the faith-based organizations like all of us is we are very keen to implement the programs. We are very meticulous, very superb. The last thing, very meticulously we will implement, but documenting financially, documenting the other ways. Sometimes we are very good for documenting to our donors. We give reports, we give financial statements, but sometimes we neglect documenting properly in terms of giving the report to the government. Therefore, some credibility is lacking in our sector. Therefore, these are, when we look at all these amendments in a positive way, it is an opportunity to keep our house in order. We can take in that way because we are citizens respecting the law. We are citizens conforming to the law. We are always trying to see the best to give to the society as well as to become credible and faithful to everyone. The another thing is we have to see, when we look at this law, we have to see the future of our organization, because the security of the future, how we manage little fund, can we reserve little fund, can we set apart some resource for the future? We have to just reframe our organization, because how much we are sustainable. That is another question when we discuss about our own faith-based organization. Right now we have gathered, it's a big gathering, and how we have gathered to see FCRA amendment recently has come, but we have to look at it in a big spectrum. That is what I am trying to propose, because we have Jocelyn Martin, and of course, we are contextualized this meeting under in a context of people's management policy. We have in Kerala people's management policy in the national level. I remember Bishop Alex has given the forward and give us all support to produce a document for human resource management for Catholic institution in CBCI level. Not only FCRA compliances, we have to be in line with many other compliances in place. How to reserve money? Can we reserve money as a cash? Any limit to hold cash for an organization? Any limit to put cash in the bank? How much we reserve as a deposit in a bank, in a saving account, in a current account, or in FD? What is our understanding? Then can we have a reserve as a physical asset as land or building? And what is our compliances regarding that? Then we have to, as I said, the decision making is so important in terms of resource allocation. Even to fundraising, now perhaps we have to look forward for local fund mobilization. When we have that thing in idea, that idea also in place, we have to document certain things. Again, law is coming in place. When we mobilize local resources, when we have donation in our institution, what are the legal compliances regarding that? Therefore, these are the different things we are trying to look at in a broad spectrum. But perhaps today we are trying to see our understanding more we'll have today regarding FCRA amendment recently in place that gives us enormous power to the government. That means they can just stop our functioning. That means FCRA, they can withhold 180 days even further without giving any explanation also. That means so much of power is going to come with government. And government is exempted from all this. The political party is exempted from all this. But we are supposed to comply with all these things. That means our organization need to be more credible, more attention has to be given for putting everything in place in order. In this context, we have two presentations, as I said, as Bishop already has mentioned, we have two presentations. The general context of the legal scenario, what is happening in our country, and what are the things happening, what we can, how we accommodate, how we understand the legal amendments coming in one after another, and that will be discussed and dealt by Mr. M. Rajan. He is a well-known person. He was the architect behind many of the human resources document the church is very well using in different levels. Different regions are using, CBCI is using, and Kerala region is also using. Many of the regions in our bishops conference has taken and modified according to the local situation, according to the difference of the different states. And he's the architect behind, and he will explain about the context of the different laws coming in. And we have Jocelyn Martin will explain, of course, he's a wonderful man. Not only his explanation will remain over here, rather we can just again take his resources. He will accompany us throughout. All the doubts he will clear, because I have experience of my own diocese and many other friends. I was trying to contact with him. He was very helpful, and things will be done. Certain things we think that won't be done, but he is very helpful to do that because he has good contact with people, access to the government offices, and make them understand these are the things that has to be done based on the law and other compliances. Therefore, he is a great asset for us. That's why we are trying to introduce him, all of you. And my job going to be big task because almost 350 participants are there. And I don't know if questions are coming. I will manage. What I will propose in the very beginning itself, when the presentation goes, if you have any doubt arising in your mind, please just type in the comment box so that we can just take it and gradually we can explain to you. And afterwards, otherwise, no, there will be repetition of many questions that we can avoid. So many participants are there. We have to make use of the small little time that is given to us, the maximum benefit. That this is one proposal from my part. Perhaps Bishop Alex, that will be okay, or otherwise, do we have to look for any other measure for addressing the Mr. Joseph? What do you think about that? That would be okay.
Chat. We can use chat.
We can use chat facility for that. I invite right now. I don't take much time. I invite Mr. M. Rajan to give his talk. Afterwards, Jocelyn Martin, please, Mr. Rajan.
Today, the star of the day is FCRA. I am just a filler, so I won't be taking much time. But I thought I'll share some of my experience with working with church organization in terms of statutory compliances. So Father Jason was feeling that will set a background for this. So I thought I'll share my experience working with KCBC and KLM. First of all, I congratulate KLM and KCBC Labor Commission for organizing such a webinar. And I also thank for associating me with this program. It is always a great pleasure working with this particular team. I don't know, most of you may not be knowing me. I have recently moved to Mumbai. Now I am operating from Mumbai for the last 2 years. When anybody hear about Mumbai, the first thing people think about is the traffic jam in Mumbai. So what I am saying is, I drive to office and return to office. Morning it takes 40 minutes, evening it takes 2.5 hours to 3 hours. That is the traffic we are experiencing in Mumbai. And last 1 month, my friend is coming with me. In fact, he is having a back pain, and he is born and brought up in Mumbai. So he used to sit with me and share a lot of his experiences about Mumbai and other things. I used to tell him about my experiences. One day, in a very serious tone, he asked me, what is the purpose of brake? So first I thought I made some mistake while driving, because I was, normally I drive well. So he repeated the question again. Then he said, this has nothing to do with your driving. Let us talk. You tell me what is the purpose of brake. So I told him, the brake is to stop the vehicle. It will give a lot of control on the vehicle. Like that, I started telling. Then he told me, you are telling about you are giving me technical replies. You forget about the technical reply and you give me a philosophical reply. I tried some philosophy, but nothing worked. Finally, he told me what was in his mind, and it has surprised me. He said, the purpose of brake is high speed. I repeat, the purpose of brake is high speed. Then he also elaborated it, and I also elaborated, and we had a discussion about that. If we put it in a simple terms, if your vehicle, while you are driving, if your vehicle is having a brake, you will have a lot of confidence. And that will help you to go in high speed. I think this is making a lot of sense in this current scenario. What I wish to tell you is, when FCRA comes, nothing to be panic about that. We will even handle this. But we have to handle this in a professional manner. So you have to understand, by understanding and by learning more about FCRA and implementing it in a proper fashion will give a lot of confidences for us and will help us to work in much faster space, or we can say this is a brake which is giving for us to move in high speed. Why I'm telling is, during 2012-13 or during 2011 period and all, Kerala Catholic Church experienced a lot of strike from our own employees. You may be remembering about the strikes by the nurses. So initially, some of the institutions, some of the directors, and even some of the bishops were on a panic tone, because they never thought that our organizations and our staff will strike against us. Then in that particular context, there was a retrospection. A lot of discussion has taken place. We have spent days and days discussing about that, interacting with many people. Then we have decided, or we have reached some conclusions, that our organizations are all set for very good causes, very noble causes, and our approach to the people and approach to the government is excellent. We are all law-abiding citizens. In spite of that, the general perception about the Catholic institutions among some media with vested interest, and some social groups was that of a very negative tone. So in that context, what it was decided was that we should have some systems which should ensure that we are not only law-abiding citizens and which explicitly show that we are abiding our law. In order to support all the Catholic institutions, KCBC at that time brought out a document. And I was very happy to associate with that particular document. And that was people management policy published at that time. And as I told in the beginning, today all your mind is set in a different subject. So I'm not taking much time about that. I will just give an introduction to that particular policy and I'll hand over to Mr. Jocelyn. This people management policy, it speaks about 7 elements of human resource management, which is widely practiced in all the established corporate settings, which in a way we also do, but not in a very scientific or not in a very systematic manner. So a lot of brainstorming was done and how it can be adopted in Catholic institutions, and we had given certain guidelines. For example, recruitment. In most of the Catholic institutions, we never had any recruitment policy, and mostly we were not following very stringent norms because our often our recruitment is need-based. The need is not for the organization, but for the employee. In many situations, it is not to extract job, but mostly to rehabilitate people. So in that way, we were operating. So in spite of that, there was a lot of criticism about the recruitments and practices in the institutions. So the first chapter of the policy speaks about how a professional recruitment can be done. There should be a recruitment policy. There should be a procedure which is having test, interview, medical test, etc. And there should be some objectivity and transparency in recruitment. And there should be some norms for reservation. And there should be some identity verification. So we should know who is going to be our employees. Like that, recruitment in our institutions can be standardized and well managed. And the second aspect or the second chapter speaks about the salary and service conditions. So our salary should be always above minimum wages, and we should pay equal remuneration for equal work. And we should have a service condition which should speak about the leave, holidays. And while paying salary, the statutory aspects like ESI, PF should be handled. So all the service condition related matters were discussed in that particular chapter. Similarly, in Catholic institutions, most of the times we don't give too much importance for the performance. So in the policy, one chapter speaks about the performance management of it. So how we are engaging an employee, whether he is properly engaged in our setting, whether he or she is very clear about his role, whether he is having a job description, there are performance standards there, and any of the performance is linked with any of the incentives in the organization is linked with his performance. So is there a system when a person perform well to admire, or if performance standard goes bad, is there a system to warn him or inform him or give him feedback about that? So that particular chapter speaks about the performance management. And another important element of human resource management is training. There is one chapter speaks the necessity for identifying a training need, how to develop the skills, and the necessity for imparting some value education for our employees, and also for maintaining some of the training records. And the next chapter is about the social security part of it. any employee who works with us contribute for the organization at the prime age. But at the fag end of their life, they should be supported. So there should be some scheme evolved for that. Some insurance scheme should be evolved for that. While in service also, their sickness, their accident should be taken care. So in case of death during employment, it should be taken care. Plus the statutory benefits like ESI, PF, gratuity, they all provide a lot of social security for these people. That should be taken care. And often, one issue our organizations were facing was often the grievances are not addressed properly internally. So when the grievances are properly not handled by our own people, the third party jump into the scene and handle the grievance, and ended up unpleasant situation for all the parties involved in it. So there should be a grievance procedure, and if somebody is lodging a complaint, the confidentiality should be ensured. There should be impartiality while handling the grievances, and there should not be any victimization. We should also handle cultural issues, civic issues. And you may be knowing about the requirement for an internal compliance committee in case of a harassment complaint with regard from a female employee. So all these things should be handled, and that is addressed in the policy in the chapter grievance handling. And like grievance, there is an important chapter on disciplinary action also. There should be service rules, and there should be a defined procedure for enforcing disciplinary action against employees who are committing misconducts. That should be governed by principle of natural justice. And there's a procedure for that. And there should be defined punishments, and there should be an appeal system. Like that, there should be a proper method for handling the discipline. So these are the 7 chapters roughly addressed in the people management. And to sum up, there should be proper system in place in handling all issues related to engaging people. That is people management policy. In this context, I just want to tell you about one more thing. In any organization, people are the best resources and the lasting resources. And in the initial years, when Catholic Church was doing some welfare schemes, their focus was setting up institutions. Institutionalized care was the primary concern. Now the era has changed. The new trend is you make your investment in people. When I say people, see, today we are listening to a webinar to adding some skill for our working. Similarly, all the institution heads, whether it is a priest, whether it is a sister, or it is a layman, on a continuous basis, there should be an endeavor for development. Understanding the current trends and coping with the present requirements of the society and the government. Similarly, all the employees or associates of our institution should be given an opportunity to personally grow in his life, professionally and personally. And the third aspect I like to highlight is, there was a passing remark that when FCRA comes, the administrative expense should not exceed 20%. But our expenditure on investment of human resources, we have to address. How much we can invest on our people. Maybe rather than providing institutional services, why don't we look at human-centric initiatives? The trend of the day is new normal, because there is a sudden change and everybody is adjusting to new situations. But life, if we analyze for the last 5 years or for the last 1 decade, there were a lot of uncertainties and we were balancing with that, we were adjusting with that. So the new normal or the future should be human-centric and it should be knowledge-based. For that, I congratulate again for KLM for organizing such seminars, and this trend should continue. This learning movement should continue, and we'll be able to handle any of the issues coming up. And I just want to refresh you back. If you have a good brake, you can drive faster. So good brake comes only if you are well equipped and if you are having reasonable knowledge and execution skills. So let us all move towards that. With that, I thank again the organizers and I conclude. Thank you very much.